Hi guys, Aceface back with another Tyranid Tactics video for you today. Yes, I am back and we're going to talk unit specifics today. You'll ask for it over and over again and I'm going to give it to you today. So before we get started, if you could hit that like and that subscribe button. All you guys that have done that recently, you're absolute mega bosses and we cannot thank you enough. We are fast approaching that 10,000 subscriber mark and I'm so excited. I can't wait. So thank you. And if you want to follow us, there's loads of other ways in the description where you can follow us. You can become a patron and become mega boss status. Again, all details below. But thank you for watching the video. I really appreciate it. So today we're going to start. Let's start at the top. There's no foreplay. Let's start right at the top of the tree. And let's talk about probably the best Tyranid unit. And maybe one of the top 5 best units in the game. That's interesting, right? Put in your points down below. Let us know what you think are the top 5 units in the game. But let's talk about Hive Guard. That's right. Now, look, this is no spoilers. Most Tyranid player knows that the Hive Guard are a very good unit. But I want to talk a little bit about tactics and I want to talk about how best to use them in a 9th edition scenario. The little tricks that they've now got that, again, most people probably know. But if you don't know and you're just stumbling upon this video, this will be useful. So for you experts and you Tyranid veterans, I'm not telling you how to suck eggs, but there's a lot of new players that will find this really useful. So stay tuned, and if you are a Tyranid expert and you want to enlighten me and enlighten some of the beginner Tyranid players, put down your tactics and what you think works really well for Hive Guard in the comments below. So the Hive Guard, they got more expensive. So look, a lot of people were kind of worried because they're now basically, for a unit of 6, you're looking at 300 points, which is a pretty hefty investment for 6 models that are not that strong. But what these guys give us is huge. So, right, so what they've got, 3 wounds, toughness 5, 4 up save. Doesn't sound amazing on paper, but bear in mind these guys have 2 different guns. Now, I am only going to cover 1 gun, guys. So apologies for you, whatever they're called. I can't remember what they're called. Anyway, they have 2 guns. The first gun that we're not going to cover is the shock cannon. There we go. Shock cannon, I think it's called that. This is a anti-vehicle gun. It has a shorter range. It can do mortal wounds to vehicles, so it is not terrible, but it does not ignore line of sight, and it has a shorter range. It's not very good. Sorry, guys. So we're not going to focus on that. We're going to focus on the Impaler Cannon, which is the standard stock weapon that these guys come with. It is incredible. It is so good. Now, why is it so good? And why is it now on a whole different level? Well, the reason why is because of the board size. That is the ultimate reason why these guys suddenly have just gone up about 10 levels of power. Before, 36-inch range, which is what these guys are, was not enough to give you really good ball presence because you could play around it and it didn't necessarily put the fear of God into units first turn. Now things have changed. 36 inches quite often will give you pretty much full presence of the whole board. Will definitely give you the ability to reach out and touch units that are in their deployment zone. That suddenly is a game changer for the Hive Guard, because what those Impaler Cannons can do is deliver an incredibly strong, potentially knockout blow. So their strength 8, that's the magic profile. Yes, it's not the strength 9 that we get on the heavy venom cannons or the rupture cannon, which you should never take. But it is the magic number as far as we are going to be pretty much wounding almost everything on a 4 and majority of things on a 3 or lower, and it is obliterating Marines on a 2. That's really strong. to start off with. The next thing, it ignores line of sight. That again has become so much more important in 9th edition because terrain is a lot more effective now. So whereas before on a lot of boards there were a couple of line of sight blocking that obviously were important for the Hive Guard to do their job, but now with so much obscuring sight, having something that ignores line of sight is huge. On top of that, there's so many new cover rules, so many funky things that protect our units when they're in cover. Hive Guard ignore cover. So they don't care. They do not care. So take your cover rules, throw them out the window, because the Hive Guard are here and they're going to hit you no matter what. And they're going to hit you super hard. Also, Hive Guard have a 3+ ballistic skill. That's really, really important because now we're only going to have a -1 to that, which means they're pretty much always going to be hitting on a 4. They don't care. 4's the worst they're going to get. So that's good. Really, really strong. So this means these guys are super effective at delivering their punch and hitting hard. Now, they're -2. That's really, really good. It will put almost everything onto its invulnerable save. That means that no matter how strong the target is, they're going to be using that invulnerable save, or they're going to be coming under quite a lot of heat. Pretty much everything maximum it's going to get against these Hive Guard is a 4+, unless they have a 3+ invulnerable save. But on the whole, 4+ is generally what things are going to get. So 50-50 chance, quite a lot of times things are going to come unstuck against the Hive Guard. That's great. They do D3 damage each for each effective blow that gets through. That's also really good. Yes, I'd love it to be probably a flat 2. But quite often you get those swingy rolls where you can do 3 damage, 3 damage, 3 damage. And at the moment, 3 damage is our magic number because 3 damage is the knockout blow that it does to quite a lot of the elite units in the game. So 3 damage is scary stuff for a lot of units out there. So the potential of that is nice. Personally, give me 2 damage because it just gives me consistency. But the potential of that 3 damage, that swing, can be great. They have 2 shots each, so so a unit of 6 is delivering 6 knockout blows, which is great. Really, really super strong. So that's kind of what the unit does. But there's so much more to these guys that we're going to cover. So firstly, what Hive fleet you're going to take them in. So there's a few different ways to go. So you could go in Jormungandr. I'm going to get that out there first because I do love the Jormungandr. You all know I love the Jormungandr, but actually it's probably not the best for the Hive Guard for a few major reasons. The first is these guys are going to be hiding in cover. You're going to be out of line of sight. So that +1 in the open is not going to really affect these guys. It really isn't. Yes, it can be handy, but on the whole, really not going to affect them. So the Jormungandr is not a big factor. Not a big factor. It's quite good if you want these guys coming out of tunnels with the shot cannons. But I told you, we're not here today to talk about shot cannons. Stop! Let's get back involved. Right, so the ones you want to be taking these guys in is Kronos. So I will give a little shout to Leviathan because maybe you're taking a brigade of Leviathan and it does make him a bit more survivable. But more often than not, you're going to be taking these guys in Kronos. And why are you going to take them in Kronos? Well, it's pretty obvious, but it's because if they stand still, they are going to be re-rolling 1s to hit. That plays with the maths quite a bit, and it means that these guys are even more effective. But it does not stop there. So Kronos in the Psychic Awakening book got a new power, which means that you can cast it on a unit and they have exploding 6s to hit. That's so strong, so strong. It just means that these guys are going to be even more effective, making that amount of shots even more stinging to your opponent. So when you've got re-rolling 1s with exploding 6s, man, that is horrible for your opponent. So that's why you're almost always going to want to stack these guys in Kronos. There is almost never a time where you want them in any other Hive fleet. And to be honest, if just shoehorn a patrol in with a Neurophrope that you give the power, a single unit of Rippers, which is never a bad thing, and a unit of Hive Guard is just solid. It's just so solid, and why would you not do that? But I suppose if you're going to keep it pure and you want to go Leviathan, because Leviathan is proving very, very strong in 9th edition, you could put them in Leviathan. You're just going to have to put up with the fact you're just losing a little bit of their hitting potential, and I don't think you generally want to do that. So the last thing, of course, these guys have is they have shoot twice for 2 CPs. And you're always going to do that, guys. So when you're looking at your use of CPs, you always want to be saving 2 CPs, at least for the first 3 turns, for your Hive Guard to be able to shoot twice. Because just think of the points, guys. That's 2 units of Hive Guard. Not one, that's 2. So you've got to factor that in. That's 300 points. That's 600 points. 600 points! So do that every time. So you need to save your points for making sure that these guys shoot twice. So you always want them in a position where they're going to hit whatever is their key units, because these are very much a power unit. If you want to know all about power units, check out the links below to my cap system and the cap strategy. These guys sit very much in power, and that's where they want. But you want to make sure these are in a position where they can deliver their payload effectively. Don't hide these guys right in a far corner, because you want them to have maximum spread. So that's their payload, that's their damage, that's where to put them. Now you also probably want to put the extra ability on them from the Psychic Awakening book, which is to ignore -1 and 2 AP, because what's going to shoot at these guys will almost always be stuff that ignores line of sight as well. So things like whirlwinds, things like thunderfire cannons. These are the things that are going to be targeting those Hive Guard to try and deliver that pain. So if you've got something, if you've got the ability on these guys to ignore -1 and 2 AP, particularly if what's shooting them doesn't ignore line of sight, these guys are looking at a 3-up save, which is great, and no minuses to that, because ignore -1 and 2. Most things that ignore line of sight do not have better AP than a -1 or 2. The things that scare these guys more than anything are the Scorpius whirlwinds. Well, they are only going to be doing that nasty blow on turn 1. After that, they're going down to -2 outside of Devastator Doctrine. So that's when they're the scariest. So having that ignore -1 and 2 is really strong, even against those after turn 1. So that's probably what you want to put on these. These are, they're your best unit. Let's not kind of caveat. These are the guys that are going to deliver the most damage to you, probably in your army. So because of that, you want to protect these. So yes, there are other units that are vying for that ignore -1 and 2. But those ones, maybe you want to do the +2 in cover, or additional 1 in cover, maybe to make them more survivable with their troops choices, or that's probably where you want to go with it. But where you want to be stacking that ignore -1 and 2 is on your Hive Guard if they're in your list, because it is just so important to keep these guys alive and effective as possible. Make sure they're babysitted. You don't want that thing where you're going to have a -1 if you're not shooting the closest target. And to be honest with you, you always want that Neurothrope to give that psychic power to them every turn. So it's a great place to put a Warlord behind those big unit of Hive Guard, hiding at the back of the board, out of line of sight. It's really good, particularly if you're Neurothrope and you've got a 3-up invuln anyway, so you don't really care. So that's how you want to do it. But anyway, this video is going on far too long, guys, but I could wax lyrical about Hive Guard every day. And again, I know this is not rocket science, but there is a lot of people out there that, that are starting Tyranids. They've come upon this video, and I want to make sure that they've got the most up-to-date and best information I can. So look, get the Hive Guard in your list. They are probably as close to an auto-include that we've got. They are so strong. They got better in 9th edition. They will win you games, and they will scare your opponent senseless. So get the Hive Guard in your list. And look, if you disagree and you just can't stand Hive Guard, they're too expensive, they're useless for you, let me know why. I want to know in the comments below. But until the next Tyranid Tactics video, I'm Ace Face, and I will see you soon. Bye for now.